while I was in the Navy, I did a non-stop circumnavigation, single-handed in 2012-13. Soon after that, I decided to take part in the Golden Globe Race 2018, and then there's a big story after that. It's really nice to know that I'm going around the world with a bunch of these guys because I'm dead certain that if something happens to me, there is somebody who's going to, who could come and rescue me, and I think they will be more than willing to do give any sort of help. I'd done a non-stop circumnavigation 2013, and I thought maybe the next thing to do is to take part in a race. GGR was announced, and I checked the mathematics, and it was not very expensive. I thought I could raise sponsorship, and so all these reasons led me to take part in the race. And at that time, I thought just landing up and making it to the start line would be a big achievement. Coming from India, where we don't have boats, we don't have a culture of racing around the world, and I thought just starting would be a big thing. I had been in the race for 82 days, and I was running in third position when, in the middle of the Indian Ocean, we had a very bad storm, and my boat capsized, had a knockdown, and I got separated from the boat, and I was holding the mast. So when the boat straightened, I was on top of the mast, and from there I fell about anywhere between 5 and 9 meters, and I hit my back on the boom. I fell on the deck. Later on, after about 30 minutes, I realized I couldn't stand up, and I realized that my back was injured. And I sent a text to GGR saying, rolled, dismasted, severe back injury. And then they had to call for rescue.
This is an international rescue operation that is happening as we speak, as rescue crews try to get to this man. He's an Indian naval commander, 39 years old. His name is Abhilash TOMY. The mast broke about 2,000 miles off the coast of Australia, the western coast, off Perth.
I remember every moment of it. I remember lying in the boat, after calling for rescue, there was nothing to do, so I started preparing for the next GGR. I was thinking in my head what team to have, who will be the team manager, what boat to buy, how to look for a sponsor. So yeah, I remember everything. I had a lot of time at that time. I was rescued on the 4th day by a French fisheries patrol boat called Osiris. But in the meantime, Indian Navy had sent an aircraft, Australian Navy had sent an aircraft to look for me. I was rescued, taken to an island, and Amsterdam Island. 3 days later, the Indian Navy's ship landed there, and that took me back to India. And finally, when I reached India, which was 16 days after the accident, I was taken to a hospital. I had an MRI scan, and that's where they saw 4 fractures in the spine. I was immediately flown to Delhi. I underwent a surgery, and 2 titanium rods were inserted, and I had 8 screws, fixed into my spine. After the surgery, I couldn't get up. Then to walk, I needed crutches. It was a very difficult time. I did a lot of physiotherapy to get some strength back. And once the physiotherapy got over, I did Pilates for core strength. And then I was afraid of falling, so I joined kickboxing classes. And then I did a little bit of gym with very light weights. And I still could not run. Even after 4 or 5 months, I couldn't run. I went back to a physiotherapist who gave me pool exercises. And after that, I was able to run for 30 seconds. And then I increased it to 1 minute, and then slowly built it up to 10 minutes of running. And the Navy had put me in low medical category, which meant that I did not have to fly or go on a ship. But after 6 months, I went back to the Navy's medicals, and they cleared me for flying and sailing. And one of the tests I had to do for getting back into flying was to, they blindfold you. They strap you inside a cockpit of an aircraft, and then they drop the entire aircraft underwater. And you have to wait for 5 seconds, blindfolded, holding your breath for 5 seconds. And after 5 seconds, you feel for the strap, unstrap yourself, feel your way out of the cockpit, and look for an escape hatch, which is just this big. And you have to open it, push it out, and you have to make an escape. 5 times from the co-pilot seat, 5 times from the pilot seat, and stuff like that. And I cleared it, there was no problem. As soon as I cleared, I got back into a cockpit and I went flying. It's as if I never left the cockpit. I told Don that we are 2 sides of the same coin. He has created something which is changing sailing. He is giving us an opportunity to do a race around the world, which is not very expensive. but at the same time it's very difficult. And on the other side, we are the entrants who actually go out and sail, because of whom there is a GGR. We got a nice, thick, friendly relationship between us. I'm quite sure he must have been really stressed out when I had the accident in 2018. And I think he must be one of the happiest person in the world when I threw my hat into the GGR 2022 ring. I think I owe all the success to my family. Imagine my wife, she is pregnant and we are newly married, and 3 months ago she's seen me off, and now when she sees me, I'm in a wheelchair. I should be taking care of my wife because she is pregnant, but now she is taking care of me, feeding me and making sure I'm getting up and walking and getting some exercise and all these things. It was very tough for her. And same for my mother as well. She's never seen me like this. In spite of that, if they agree to send you back into the same race and they say that you don't have to worry about anything, we will look after the house, I will look after the house, I look after the kids. Yeah, I think a big part of the success is because of them. I think GGR cannot be defined. It does not fall into any standard box of definition. There is this classic Indian elephant story with 7 blind men of Hindustan. These 7 blind men are left near an elephant. One holds the tail and says, it's a rope. Another holds a leg and says, no, this is a tree. And, so on and so forth. So that's GGR. Everybody will hold one aspect of it. 2018, I thought it was a race. 2022, I thought it was survival. It could be anything, A lot of people come to GGR for their own different personal reasons. And for me, the biggest reason was just to finish it, because I couldn't do that in 2018. For the GGR? No, not another GGR. GGR is something that can only be done once. The Vendée Globe can be repeated, your Olympics can be repeated, but GGR is done only once. In that sense, hats off to Tapia for trying it again, even though he finished in 2018. I want to fly around the world. I bought a plane. Nobody has sailed and flown around the world alone. And I'll do it someday. If my wife agrees, I'll give it a shot.